My name is Ellen, and I'm 62 years old. What I'm about to share will shatter everything you thought you knew about family. Just 4 days ago, my son Nathan and his wife, Claire, tried to kill my husband, Tom, and me by shoving us off a 100-foot cliff. As I lay there broken, bleeding, barely clinging to life, I heard Tom's faint whisper, "Ellen, stay still, pretend you're gone." But that wasn't the worst part. The worst was when Tom revealed a secret so devastating it tore my heart apart. A truth about our children we never saw coming. For 38 years, Tom and I built what we believed was a perfect life. Our cozy little home in a quiet Midwest town smelled of fresh-baked bread and morning dew. I taught 3rd grade at the local school, coming home each day with stories of my kids, laughter and mischief. Tom ran a small woodworking business, crafting tables and chairs that felt like pieces of his soul. His hands, calloused but gentle, could turn a rough plank into something beautiful. We raised 2 boys. Michael, our eldest, was the light of our home, always joking, always helping. His dad in the shop, always making sure I never worried. Nathan, 5 years younger, was quieter, more distant, but I loved him just as fiercely. As a mother, you don't pick favorites. At least that's what I told myself. Sundays were sacred. After church, we'd gather around the dining table Tom had built with his own hands. Michael would talk about his dreams of becoming an architect, while Nathan picked at his food, lost in his own world. Life felt simple, full of love. Evenings, Tom and I would stroll through our neighborhood, talking about our future, watching our grandkids grow old together in that same house. I never imagined those walks were preparing me for the one that nearly ended us. Weekends brought family over, my sisters, Louise and Margaret, with their husbands and kids. The house buzzed with laughter, children running wild, women swapping stories in the kitchen, men tinkering in the yard. Tom was my rock. After nearly 4 decades, he still surprised me with daisies he'd pick on his way home. He'd help grade my students' papers. I'd hold boards steady in his workshop. We were a team, unshakable, or so I thought. Nights on the porch, we'd watch the stars, dreaming of retirement trips to the coast, a smaller home once. Our boys started their own families. But perfection hides shadows, and ours were darker than I ever imagined. When Michael turned 21, something shifted. He and Nathan started arguing over things I couldn't grasp. I'd catch them whispering in the hallway, going quiet when I walked by. Tom brushed it off as sibling rivalry, said it'd pass. I wanted to believe him, needed to believe our family was still whole. One night in September 27 years ago, Michael didn't come home for dinner. We waited 10 p.m., 11 p.m., then midnight. Nathan claimed he was studying, but his eyes held something strange when I asked about his brother. Tom searched with neighbors, combing every street, every path Michael loved. At dawn, they found his body at the bottom of a ravine. The police called it an accident, said he'd slipped in the dark. I never questioned it because the alternative was too horrific to consider. Michael's funeral broke me. I wore the same black dress I'd worn to my father's service. Nathan was oddly calm for someone who'd lost his brother. While I sobbed until my eyes burned, he stood there, expressionless, a look that now chills me to my core. Tom held me together, whispering words of comfort that I later learned hid his own torment. After Michael's death, Nathan changed. He became warmer, helping with chores, joining Tom in the workshop, bringing me little gifts when I was sad. I thought he was grieving in his own way, filling the void Michael left. How wrong I was. He was crafting a mask to hide the truth. Years passed, the pain dulled but never faded. Nathan married Claire, a kind woman from a nearby town. They had 2 sweet kids, and I thought life was giving us another chance. Claire called me mom, helped with dishes when they visited. Nathan took over his dad's woodworking skills, running his own shop. Everything seemed right again. But now, lying at the bottom of that cliff, my body screaming in pain, I see it was all a lie. A carefully woven deception. The first cracks appeared 6 months ago when Tom and I updated our will. We'd saved our whole lives, our home, my parents, old farm our savings totaling nearly $250,000 for our kids and grandkids. Nathan suggested we see a lawyer. Mum, Dad, you're getting older, he said with a smile that now feels like a blade. It's time to get things in order. Claire nodded her hand on mine. We just want you safe, she said, her voice so warm I missed the coldness beneath it. I was blind to their motives. The lawyer, a family friend named George, laid out our options of trust, splitting the inheritance among Nathan's kids, or a simple will. Nathan pushed for him, and Claire, to be sole heirs, said they'd manage everything for the grandkids. You'll need us when you're older, he said. It's easier if we control the funds to care for you. Something in his tone felt off, but Tom trusted him. My husband always saw the best in people, even when I started to doubt. I remembered Michael's promises to look after us when we aged, dreams now buried with him. We signed the will on a rainy Thursday. Claire wore a soft blue sweater, hugged me tight. We're family forever now, she whispered. Her words sent a shiver through me, though I didn't know why. That night cooking dinner, I felt annoying dread, like I'd made a terrible mistake. Part 2. The weeks after signing the will felt wrong. Nathan and Claire visited more, but their visits weren't about family anymore. They'd suggest selling our house, investing in strange schemes, buying life insurance. Mom, this place is too big for you two, Claire said, her eyes scanning our furniture like she was pricing it. You'd be better off in a small apartment closer to town. But I loved our home, every scratch on the floor, every creak in the stairs held memories of our boys, our life. The kitchen where I'd baked cookies for Michael and Nathan, the workshop where Tom taught them to carve, the backyard where they played. I couldn't leave it behind. When I pushed back, Nathan's face tightened. Mom, you're being stubborn, he said, his voice sharp in a way I'd never heard. This house is a burden at your age. If something happens, we can't get to you fast enough. Claire chimed in, her smile too perfect. It's expensive to maintain too, she said. Selling now while the market's hot makes sense. Tom started to waver, said they had a point. He's always been the practical one, but I felt something darker behind their words. One night after another tense visit, I asked Tom if he noticed Nathan's sudden obsession with our money. He's just looking out for us, Ellen, he said, brushing it off, though his eyes held a flicker of unease. I saw it then, a shadow he wasn't ready to face. But I couldn't let it go. Nathan wasn't struggling, his business seemed fine. He drove a new truck, took Claire on fancy trips. Why did he care so much about our finances? Things got worse when Nathan brought up power of attorney. It's just in case, he said casually, as Claire poured coffee in our kitchen like she owned it. If one of you gets sick, we can handle things without legal hassles. His logic was smooth, too smooth. That night I lay awake listening to Tom's steady breathing, my mind racing. Why did I feel like a stranger in my own family? The next morning I called my sister Louise. She's always been sharper than me, quick to spot lies. When I told her about Nathan's pressure, she went quiet. Ellen, she said finally, doesn't it seem odd he's so focused on your money? He's got his own business, doesn't he? Why does he need control? Her words hit hard. Nathan never asked for loans, never seemed desperate. What was he after? That afternoon Nathan came by again, pushing the same ideas. I couldn't hold back. Son, I said, trying to keep my voice steady, why do you need to control our finances? Your dad and I are fine. We're not helpless. His face changed, eyes narrowing like I'd caught him off guard. Mom, it's not control, he said, his tone tight. It's about family, about taking care of you. Claire jumped in, her voice sweet but firm. Ellen, we just want you to be safe. It hurts seeing you stress over things we could handle. Their words sounded right but felt wrong. That night, Tom and I fought for the first time in years. I said Nathan's behavior wasn't normal. He said I was overreacting. Ellen, you're seeing ghosts, he snapped. But I saw doubt in his eyes, a crack in his trust. Then he said something that stopped my heart. Ellen, there's something I never told you about Michael's death. My breath caught. What about Michael? I asked, my voice shaking. Tom sat down heavy like the weight of decades was crushing him. The night he died, he said, his voice breaking, Nathan wasn't studying like he claimed. I saw him sneak out, around 7 p.m. I followed him, because he'd been acting strange, angry, secretive. I found them at the ravine arguing, screaming things I couldn't make out at first. My world tilted. What were they fighting about? I whispered, afraid of the answer. Tom's eyes filled with tears, something I hadn't seen since Michael's funeral. Money, he said. Michael found out. Nathan was stealing from our savings, small amounts at first, then bigger ones. He had proof, bank records he'd been tracking for weeks. My mind reeled. Nathan stealing from us. The son I'd loved, defended, raised. Why didn't you tell me? I demanded, feeling betrayed by both my son and my husband. Tom looked away, guilt carving lines in his face. Because when I got to the ravine, Michael was already gone. Nathan was standing there shaking, crying, saying it was an accident. He said Michael attacked him, they fought, and Michael slipped. He begged me to help him, said he couldn't lose us too. I felt sick. You believed him, I whispered. Tom nodded, his eyes haunted. He was our son, Ellen. Michael was gone, I couldn't lose Nathan too. I thought he'd change, that it was a mistake. And the money? I asked, dreading the answer. Nathan swore he'd pay it back, said it was for a business deal that went bad. I believed him because I needed to believe he wasn't a monster. But he never paid back a cent, did he? I asked, already knowing. Tom shook his head. Worse, he kept taking small amounts. I'd pretended not to notice because facing it meant admitting I'd covered up a murder. My legs gave out, I grabbed the counter to stay upright. Everything I thought I knew about our family was crumbling. Nathan didn't just steal, he might have killed his own brother. And now he was after our money again. Tom pulled out papers he'd hidden in his desk. I've been checking Nathan's finances, he said. His business is failing, he's drowning in debt, over $120,000, to banks and shady lenders. He's not the success he pretends to be. He's desperate, Ellen. I stared at the numbers, proof of Nathan's lies. Does Claire know? I asked, picturing her warm smiles. Tom nodded. I've seen how she steers conversations to our savings, our house, our insurance. They're planning something, Ellen. Something big. My heart pounded. Our deaths, I whispered. They're planning our deaths. Tom didn't argue, just looked at me with a fear that mirrored my own. We had to act, but how? Go to the police. With what proof? Tom was complicit in hiding Michael's death years ago. Who'd believe us now? Then Nathan called, his voice bright but chilling. Hey Mom, he said. Claire and I were thinking, it'd be great to celebrate your 40th anniversary with a family trip. How about a hike in the mountains next weekend? Just the four of us, some quality time. My blood froze. Tom heard it too, his face pale. That's sweet, I managed to say, my voice trembling. Let us think it over, we'll call you back. When I hung up, we sat in silence, knowing we'd just been invited to our own deaths. The days after Nathan's call were a living nightmare. Every knock on the door, every ring of the phone made my heart race. Tom and I had to play a long act, normal. Smile when Nathan and Claire visited, nod as they rambled about the mountain trip. But inside I was screaming. I knew I was looking at the people who'd killed my son, Michael, and now wanted us dead too. Claire showed up midweek with a bag of snacks for our hike, her smile bright but hollow. Ellen, sweetheart, she said, hugging me tight. I got everything we need for our adventure: sandwiches, water, some cookies for the trail. Her cheerfulness felt like a mockery, every item a prop in their plan to kill us. Nathan followed with a shiny new hiking backpack. Dad, he said to Tom, all enthusiasm. I got us top-notch gear, ropes, first aid kit, flashlights, everything for a safe trip. Safe. The word made my stomach churn. They weren't planning to keep us safe, they were staging a perfect accident. Isn't it risky for us at our age? I asked, trying to sound casual, searching for any excuse to back out. Claire touched my arm, her smile syrupy. We picked an easy trail, she said. Perfect for beginners, even kids could do it. Nathan and I will be right there to watch out for you. Watch out for us. I almost laughed at the irony. They'd be watching all right, waiting for the moment to push us to our deaths. That night after they left, Tom and I sat in the dark, our living room feeling like a trap. We can't go, I said, gripping his hands. We'll make an excuse, say I'm sick, anything. Tom's face was grim. If we don't go, he said, they'll find another way. A car accident, a fire, something that looks even cleaner. At least in the mountains we know what they're planning. His logic was cold but undeniable. So what do we do? I asked, my voice breaking. Tom thought for a long moment. We go, he said finally. But we're ready. I'll hide my phone, set it to record everything. If we survive, we'll have proof. If we don't, at least the truth lives on. My heart sank. The idea of walking into a trap set by our own son was unbearable, but what choice did we have? That night, Tom wrote a letter to my sister Louise, sealed it, and hid it in our safe. It's everything we know, he said. About Michael, about Nathan's plans. If we don't come back, Louise will find it. We held each other in bed, whispering promises of love, knowing they might be our last. I love you, Ellen, Tom said, his voice thick. These years with you, they're all that's ever mattered. I memorized his face, the lines, etched by years of laughter and pain, praying we'd survive. Saturday morning came too fast. Nathan arrived, whistling like this was a joyful family outing. Ready for the big day? He called from the porch. Claire followed, her smile radiant like she was walking into a celebration, not a murder. Breakfast was torture, we barely ate, as Nathan spread a map on the table. This trail's amazing, he said, pointing to a winding path. Leads to a lookout with views you'll never forget. His excitement felt sinister. Those views would be the last we'd ever see. Claire added details, her voice casual. Some parts are a bit steep, but you guys are tougher than you think. Tough. Another cruel jab. We weren't hikers, we were two aging parents they'd chosen to exhaust and eliminate. As we packed the car, I saw Nathan check his backpack ropes, a small shovel, a flare gun. What's that for? I asked, pointing to the gun, my voice steady despite my fear. Just in case, he said smoothly. If we get lost, we can signal for help. Signal for help after they'd pushed us off a cliff so our bodies could be found, labeled a tragic accident. Everything was planned down to the smallest detail. The drive to the mountains took 2 hours, each minute stretching into forever. Claire sang along to the radio, her voice light like we were on a family vacation. Nathan drove carefully, sticking to every rule, not risking anything that could derail their plan. Tom squeezed my hand, slipped his phone into his pocket and started recording. Whatever happened now would be captured. If we lived, we'd have evidence. If we died, the truth would survive. We reached the trailhead, a beautiful place with towering pines and a rushing stream. But to me it was a graveyard. Nathan and Claire grabbed their gear, laughing, joking, playing the part of a loving family. Ready for the adventure? Nathan asked, his eyes glinting with something dark, something I hadn't seen since the night Michael died. The hike started easy, winding through shady trees and soft moss. Claire led the way, snapping photos of flowers, birds, anything to sell the story of a perfect day. Look at that view, she'd say, pointing to the horizon. Nathan stayed behind us, watching, making sure we didn't lag. I felt his gaze like a weight on my back. How you holding up, Mom, Dad? He'd ask, his concern so fake it made my skin crawl. After an hour, the trail grew steeper. My knees ached, Tom's breathing turned heavy. We weren't built for this, and they knew it. They'd picked a path to wear us down, make us easy targets. Almost to the lookout, Claire called, though. I'd seen the map at home, we were nowhere near it. They weren't taking us to the lookout, they were leading us to our deaths. I memorized every turn, every rock, hoping I'd live to tell someone where it all went wrong. Tom's eyes met mine, filled with the same fear, the same resolve. We were walking to our end, but we'd fight for the truth. Then Claire stopped, pointing to a rocky outcrop off the main trail. That cliff has an unreal view, she said, her voice too eager. Let's climb up there for some photos. My stomach dropped. This was it, the place they'd chosen to kill us. The cliff loomed high, maybe 100 feet above a jagged gorge. The path to it was treacherous, loose stones, no handholds. Perfect for an accident. I don't know, I said, trying to sound calm. That looks steep for us. Nathan was already moving toward it, his backpack slung over his shoulder. Come on, Mom. He said, his tone sharp, like when he was a kid demanding his way. It's quick and the pictures will be worth it. Tom squeezed my hand, his phone still recording. We had no choice. Refusing now would only delay the inevitable. They'd find another way, another cliff. We had to see this through. The climb to the cliff was brutal. Loose rocks slipped under my feet, threatening to send me tumbling. Tom struggled beside me, his breath ragged, each step a battle. Nathan and Claire moved with ease, like they'd rehearsed this path. Of course they had. They'd chosen it for its danger, its isolation. No witnesses, no survivors. Almost there, Claire called from the top, her voice bright but hollow. Nathan helped us up the last few feet, his hands on my arm, feeling like a predator's grip. When we reached the summit, the view was breathtaking, mountains stretching endless, the valley glowing below. In another life, it would have been a moment to cherish. But here it was a stage for our murder. Come to the edge for photos, Claire said, waving us over. I want the whole valley in the shot. Tom and I moved slowly, each step pulling us closer to the drop. Nathan positioned himself behind us, his movements too precise, too calculated. Perfect, Claire said, raising her camera. Hug each other, smile big. We wrapped our arms around each other, maybe for the last time. Her camera flashed each click like a countdown to our end. One more, Nathan said, stepping closer. Back up just a bit for the best angle. One step back put us inches from the void. I felt the ground crumble slightly under my shoes, the abyss waiting below. Tom's eyes locked with mine, a silent agreement. This was it. Smile, Claire said, her voice losing its warmth, dropping the act. This one's for keeps. Nathan lunged, arms outstretched, ready to push us into oblivion. Their plan was clear: shove us off, snap a few photos of the tragedy, then play the grieving survivors. But Tom was ready. At the last second, he grabbed Nathan's arm, yanking him forward. If we go, you're coming too, he roared, his voice raw with a fury I'd never heard. For a moment, we were all tangled, a desperate struggle on the cliff's edge. Claire screamed, tried to pull Nathan back, but our combined weight was too much. The ground gave way and we fell, all four of us locked together, plummeting toward the rocks below. The air roared in my ears, time slowing as we dropped. I thought of Michael, the terror he must have felt when Nathan pushed him all those years ago. The impact was a nightmare. My body slammed into the rocks, pain exploding through me. Bones cracked, blood filled my mouth. I heard screams, maybe mine, maybe theirs. Then Tom's voice, weak but steady. Ellen, don't move, play dead. I was alive somehow, against all odds. The pain was unbearable, my arm twisted wrong, my head pounding, blood soaking my clothes. But Tom's words kept me grounded. Play dead. I forced my breathing to slow, made myself still as stone. Nearby I heard Nathan groan. Claire, are you okay? His voice was strained but alive. My legs broken, Claire gasped, her voice tight with pain. What about them? Them. Like we were objects, not their parents. I heard Nathan crawl closer, his breathing heavy. They're gone, he said after a long pause. No pulse, no breathing. His lie gave me hope. If he thought we were dead, we had a chance. Perfect, Claire said, her voice cold, satisfied. It worked, except for us falling too. She laughed, a bitter sound that made my skin crawl. At least we don't have to fake loving them anymore. They started planning their next move, crawling to a spot where they could call for help. Spin their tale of a tragic accident. Stay with the story, Nathan said. We were taking photos, Dad slipped, pulled Mom down. We tried to save them, but fell too. Got it, Claire said. We're the survivors of a terrible family accident. Poor us. Their voices faded as they moved away, leaving us in the gorge. Tom whispered my name, his voice barely audible. Ellen, you okay? I'm alive, I whispered back, but bad. My arm's wrecked, maybe my shoulder. You? Broken leg, Tom said. Couple of ribs too. Phone still recording, but no signal down here. That was our nightmare. Alive but trapped, injured, with no way to call for help. If no one found us, we'd die slowly from blood loss or worse. Tom, I said before we run out of time, tell me everything about Michael's death. I need the truth. Tom sighed like he'd been carrying this weight forever. That night, he said Michael came to me in the shop furious. He had bank statements, proof Nathan was stealing from us. Small amounts at first, then thousands. He'd been tracking it for months, said he was going to confront Nathan that night. I tried to stop him, told him to wait, but he wouldn't listen. He said he couldn't live knowing his brother was a thief. So you followed him, I said, my heart breaking. Yeah, Tom said. I was worried. Nathan had been off lately, cold, angry. When I reached the ravine, they were screaming. Michael waved the papers, called Nathan a thief, said he'd tell us everything. Nathan lost it, yelled that Michael was always the golden child, that he deserved more. Then Tom's voice cracked. Nathan pushed him, Ellen. Hard on purpose. I saw Michael stumble, tried to grab something, but he fell. I ran to the edge, but he was gone. Tears mixed with the blood on my face. Why didn't you tell me? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Because Nathan was sobbing, Tom said. Begging me, saying it was an accident, that Michael attacked him, and he just pushed back. He said he couldn't lose us too. I believed him because I needed to believe he wasn't a killer. And the money? I asked, already knowing. Never paid back, Tom said. He kept stealing, I kept quiet, because every day I didn't speak made me more guilty. I covered up a murder, Ellen. My own son's murder. Before I could respond, voices echoed above. Nathan and Claire had found help. Rescue teams were coming, their shouts growing louder. Our time was running out. We had to decide, pretend to be dead, or risk everything by revealing we were alive. Tom whispered fast. The phone has it all, their confessions, their plan. If they know we're alive, they'll destroy it. We stay dead until we're safe. His words were a lifeline. We had evidence, but only if we could protect it. The rescue team's voices grew closer, ropes rustling, boots crunching on rocks. Nathan played his part perfectly. They're down there, he shouted, his voice cracking like a grieving son. Please hurry, my parents. Claire sobbed loud, dramatic. It was an accident, we couldn't save them. Every word twisted the knife in my chest. They were so convincing, I almost believed their grief myself. Tom squeezed my hand, the silent reminder to stay still. The rescuers reached us, their equipment clanking. Here they are, one shouted. I felt hands on my neck, checking for a pulse, an ear near my mouth, listening for breath. This one's got a faint pulse, another said about Tom. The woman's not looking good. Get the medics down here now. My heart raced, but I kept my body limp, eyes shut, breathing so shallow it hurt. They think I'm nearly gone, I thought. Good. That buys us time. The paramedics worked fast, strapping us to stretchers, checking wounds, barking orders. I felt an oxygen mask over my face, needles in my arm, but I stayed motionless, fighting every urge to cry out. They're critical, a medic said over the radio. The man's hanging on, the woman's pulse is barely there. We need to move them now. Perfect. They'd take us to a hospital where we could talk to someone safe away from Nathan and Claire. As they hoisted us up, I heard Claire's fake sobs. Nathan thanking the rescuers, his voice thick with false relief. You're so brave, a rescuer said to them. It's a miracle you survived. If only they knew the miracle was us still breathing, ready to expose the truth. In the helicopter, the hum of the blades drowned out my thoughts. Tom was next to me, medics working to keep him stable. He's critical, they said. I prayed he'd hold on long enough to tell our story. Mama medic said to me, if you can hear me, just hold on, we're almost there. His kindness nearly broke me after the betrayal we'd faced. At the hospital, chaos took over. Nurses shouted, doctors ran tests, machines beeped. I was wheeled into an emergency room, still pretending to be out cold. My arm throbbed, my head pounded, but I had to keep up the act. A nurse named Sarah noticed something. Her vitals are off, she said to a doctor. Her pulse is stronger than it should be for someone this bad. My heart skipped. I was slipping. The doctor, a gruff older man, muttered, "Trauma does weird things sometimes. Keep monitoring her, the next few hours are critical." I heard Nathan and Claire in the hall, their voices low but clear. "Can we see them?" Nathan asked, just for a moment to say goodbye. The doctor agreed, and soon I felt them near my bed. Nathan's hand touched mine, cold, calculated. "Mom," he whispered, "if you can hear me, I'm so sorry. I love you." His words were venom coated in sugar. Claire leaned in, her voice soft. "Ellen, you've been like my own mom, we'll miss you so much." I wanted to scream, rip my hand away, but I stayed still. Then Nathan leaned closer, his breath hot on my ear. "You should have stayed out of our business, Mom," he whispered. "Some secrets are better left alone, like Michael's." My blood froze. He'd just confessed, tied himself to Michael's death right in front of a nurse. Sarah, I saw through my barely open eyes, stiffened, her face pale. She'd heard it all. "What about Michael?" Claire hissed, clearly thrown. Nathan backtracked fast. "Nothing, just that Mom always wondered about his accident. Doesn't matter now." But it did matter, and Claire knew he'd messed up. "Let's go," she said sharply. "They need to work." As they left, Sarah came to my side, her voice a whisper. "Ma'am, I know you're awake. What I just heard wasn't right. If you're in danger, give me a sign." I moved my finger once, slow, deliberate. Her eyes widened. "Oh my God," she whispered. "You're faking it." I moved my finger twice. "If those people are a threat to you," she said, "move your finger 3 times. I did without hesitation. Sarah gasped. "They did this to you, didn't they?" 3 more movements. She stepped back, pretending to adjust my for her face, a mix of fear and resolve. "I'm getting the doctor," she whispered. "Stay still, we'll protect you." The wait was torture. Every sound made me flinch, expecting Nathan to burst in and finish the job. Finally, Sarah returned with a doctor and 2 cops. "Ma'am," the doctor said softly, "we know you're in danger. You're safe now, these officers are here for you." Relief flooded me so strong I nearly broke. "Can you open your eyes?" one cop asked. Slowly I did, the light stinging as I faced their concerned faces. "Thank God," Sarah muttered. I thought I was losing it. The cop, a stern woman named Detective Riley, spoke up. "I'm here to help. Can you tell us what happened on that mountain?" My voice was a croak, but I forced the words out. "My son Nathan and his wife Claire, they pushed us." I spilled everything: Michael's murder, Nathan's thefts, the will, the mountain trap. The recording on Tom's phone, I said, "It has their confessions, everything." Riley's eyes lit up. "Your husband has evidence?" She rushed to Tom's room. He was awake, weak but alive. "Here," he said, handing over the phone. "It's all their 27 years of lies and today's truth." The police took the phone to analyze while Nathan and Claire sat in the waiting room, still playing the grieving family. They had no idea their world was about to collapse. The hospital waiting room was a stage for Nathan and Claire's performance. I could imagine them out there, accepting hugs from strangers, spinning their story of loss. Meanwhile, upstairs, the police were listening to Tom's recording. "It's solid," Detective Riley said, returning to my room. "We've got them admitting to Michael's murder, talking about stealing from you, planning your deaths. It's enough to lock them up for good." "But will you arrest them now?" I asked, fear creeping in. "If they know we're alive, they'll come for us." Riley nodded. "We've got officers ready. The warrant's being signed as we speak. You're under protection until they're in custody." The thought of Nathan and Claire so close, still free, made my skin crawl. They thought they'd won, thought we were dead, their inheritance secured. But we were about to turn their lives against them. Riley showed me a small recorder found in Nathan's backpack. He was taping you, she said. For weeks trying to catch you suspecting them. One clip has Claire saying they had to act before you went to the cops. My stomach twisted. They'd been spying on us, waiting for us to slip up. There's more, Riley said. Nathan forged your signatures to access your accounts. If you'd died, he'd have drained everything. Over $60,000. Stolen in the last 6 years, small enough you didn't notice, but it added up. Every revelation cut deeper. My son wasn't just a murderer, he was a thief who'd betrayed us for years. What about their kids? I asked, thinking of my grandkids innocent in all this. Social services has them, Riley said. You could apply for custody once you're stronger. The idea of raising Nathan's children was heavy, but they deserved better than the lies they'd grown up with. It's time, Riley said as an officer brought the signed warrants. We're taking them now. From my window I saw cops move into position in the parking lot. Nathan Black, Claire Black, an officer's voice boomed. You're under arrest for the murder of Michael Black and the attempted murder of Ellen and Tom Black. Silence, then Claire's wail. This is a mistake. We're victims. Our in-laws died in an accident. Ma'am, the officer said your in-laws are alive, and they've given us everything. Nathan's voice broke through, desperate. That's impossible, they were dead, we saw them. His words were another nail in his coffin, recorded by the police. Claire turned on him, screaming, "It was your idea, I didn't want this." Nathan fired back, "You picked the cliff, you planned it all." Their alliance crumbled, each scrambling to save themselves. Riley came back an hour later. "They're in custody," she said. "Falling apart, blaming each other. It's making our case stronger. But there's something else. Nathan's debts weren't just to banks. He owed money to dangerous people, loan sharks who don't forgive. Your deaths were his only way out." The truth sank in. We weren't just obstacles, we were his lifeline. Without our money, he'd be dead in weeks. The next days were a blur. Police interviews, reporters circling like vultures wanting our story. The news called it the betrayal of the century. My sister Louise came, tears streaming down her face. "I always knew Nathan was off after Michael died," she said, "but this? I never thought he'd go this far." Her words eased the guilt I'd carried for missing the signs. "The kids are with social services," she said. "They're asking for their parents, not understanding why they're gone." My heart broke for them. Our lawyer George visited with updates. "The case is airtight," he said. "The recordings, confessions, financial records, they're done." But their lawyers are pushing for a lighter sentence, claiming it was desperation, not premeditation. Desperation? I snapped. "They planned every detail." George agreed. "We'll prove it, but you'll need to testify." Facing Nathan in court would be agony, but I had to do it for Michael, for us, for the truth. Weeks later, we went home, our bodies healing, but our hearts raw. The house felt empty, like a ghost of our old life. Dishes sat in the sink from that last breakfast. Wilted flowers Nathan brought mocked us from the table. Can we ever be happy again? I asked Tom that first night back. He held me close. "I don't know Ellen," he said. "But we're alive, we have the truth, and no more secrets." That was enough for now. The trial loomed, a test I wasn't sure I could face. 6 months later, the trial began. Walking into that courtroom felt like stepping into a lion's den. Nathan sat there, his face blank, no trace of the boy I'd raised. Claire beside him looked small, her eyes darting nervously. I took the stand, my hands trembling, as I swore to tell the truth. I recounted everything: Michael's death, Nathan's thefts, the will, the cliff. Every word felt like peeling back my skin, exposing years of pain. When I faced Nathan, I saw nothing, no remorse, no love, just a stranger wearing my son's face. I spoke to him directly, my voice steady despite the ache. "Nathan, you're not my son anymore. My son died with Michael that night. What's left is a monster I helped create without knowing." The courtroom was silent, the weight of my words hanging heavy. Claire flinched like I'd struck her. The jury watched, their faces hard. After hours of testimony, I stepped down drained but unburdened. The truth was out. Tom testified next, his voice, weak but clear, recording the confessions, the years of silence that ate at him. The evidence was overwhelming: bank records, forged signatures, the phone audio capturing Nathan and Claire's cold planning. Their lawyers tried to spin it as a desperate act under financial strain, but the jury wasn't buying it. After 3 days of deliberation, they delivered the verdict. Guilty. Nathan and Claire were convicted of first-degree murder for Michael's death and attempted murder for what they did to us. Life in prison, no parole. The gavel's echo was the sound of justice long overdue. A year later, Tom and I are rebuilding. We've taken in our grandkids, 2 bright souls who don't yet understand the darkness their parents brought. Every night, I tuck them in, tell them stories of their Uncle Michael, his kindness, his dreams. I want them to know the family they come from isn't defined by betrayal. We're healing slowly, our home filling with new laughter, new memories. The scars remain physical and emotional, but they remind us we survived. Tom and I sit on our porch now, watching the stars like we used to. We don't talk about the future as much, but we hold on to the present tighter. We've lost so much but gained something. The chance to give our grandkids the love we thought we'd lost forever. The world knows our story now. The headlines have faded, but the truth lives on. Nathan and Claire will spend their lives behind bars, their lies exposed, their masks shattered. And us? We're learning to live again, one day at a time, finding light in the ashes of a family we thought we knew.